So the second kind of business decision is maintenance of a patent. Okay.
That's a more difficult decision.
Okay. What processes helped you there?
What we did is establish, and the key word here is process. You need to have a very transparent process because you need to be fair to everyone. And you can't just wake up one day and say, "Ooh, we need to make a decision about this patent. We've spent enough. Nobody's interested. Bye-bye." It doesn't work. It's also not right, in terms of not the right way to do things. And because, of course, every professor thinks that their technology is the cat's whiskers, this is what's going to change the world. And if you didn't commercialize it, it's because you, the commercialization company, are useless. I've heard that so many times. Not always true, but it's their point of view. So in order to make sure that everyone is as happy as can be, because happy, I'm not sure they always are, but as happy as can be, you have a process that's very transparent. You have eventually a committee that gets together on a regular basis that includes our own business people. It does include the vice president of research for the university. Sometimes we get external opinions, and we do have to have made an effort. I have to hold my staff accountable. It can't be that this comes up, a year or two have passed, you've passed the provisional stage and the PCT and so on, you have to come to, where the big bucks are being paid, and say, "Oh, oops, we didn't have time for this." That doesn't fly. You need to have made an effort. And the professors have a role to play. They have a role to play because, in my experience, after all, it is the professor who goes to the conferences, who knows better than anyone else what's happening in their field, who will be approached by people who may be interested, companies who may be interested. This has to be a joint effort. They don't have to do the business work. That's the company's job. But they do have to be a partner in all of this. And if you don't use that, then you're missing out, because there's a lot that they can bring to the table. So it's always a sort of dance, if you will. And I can think of occasions where we had to make decisions that were unpopular, but on the whole, I think we were able to get to most of those decisions with an understanding that it was the right thing to do.
We professors seem to sometimes sort of go under a blanket and think we know it all, including selling patents. Like, I have colleagues who are really good at it, but not everybody needs to be good at marketing their intellectual property. What's that conversation like? You said it's like a dance with the professor being an equal partner, and they may be more well known in their field. How do you walk this fine line?
Well, as you say, it is a very fine line. And I think at the end of the day, like anything, it's a people skill.
Okay.
It's a people skill, and it is. Look, sometimes it doesn't work. I'll be the first to say sometimes it doesn't work. But most of the time, when there's mutual respect, it works. And
Okay.
when there's mutual respect and they understand that you're actually bringing something to the table, and there are a lot of other things that we used to do, which I think might be worth mentioning just as bullet points, but listen, in order to really operate successfully in this field between academia and industry, you need to constantly be reaching out on both sides. Mm-hmm. You need to reach out within the university. And we did that. I actually would go out and I myself would go and meet with the deans, and I'd go and meet with the senior staff. I would send my people out physically into the faculties to walk around the labs and see what was going on a regular basis. It was a regular plan. We would have industry experts and bring them in, on a regular basis, whether monthly, every other month, quarterly, to update ourselves on what was happening in the business, in the different worlds that we were operating in, which in the case of the Hebrew University were very broad, because the Hebrew University at that time, and I think even to this day, did about a third of all academic research in Israel. So it was a broad plate, if you will. And And I think that when the professors see that you're working for them, then that relationship, that dance, if you will, becomes a little more synchronized.